Hey RATBAGGERS, it's Jade today, giving you a quick breakdown of some stuff that's been going on with VALHEIM and Irongate. They took to Instagram to show a day in the life of Lisa, their 3D eyes. So we're going to cover some of that stuff because a bit tenuously, we can see maybe some teases or talking points about some info that gets revealed. And just a reminder that we don't think we're going to get any major update anytime soon, but the next update that will arrive might be focused around improving the game more, particularly around combat with hitting enemies if they're slightly higher or lower. And that's a frustrating thing for a lot of people, not being able to hit creatures. What it does look like from the screenshot that got shared a good while ago, that is something that's still on its way. We didn't actually see it arrive in the most recent patches. And we know from the devs themselves, they've said that there will be a couple of updates before 1.0, which of course don't expect at least until the very earliest, the end of the year. Perhaps maybe next year is probably a safer bet. So anyway, bit of speculative talk today. Let's go through what we can learn. Lisa, the 3D artist at Irongate, previously community manager when they first released the game, but has now been steadily building and helping make sure the art for the game is fantastic with the models and stuff. Well, she did it AMA most recently, and there are some sneak little details we might be able to discern. So shout out to Lisa. If you watch my channel regularly, you guys know that I am pretty good friends with a lot of the devs from Irongate. They come and stream with me other games, and they've often joined me for Valheim related stuff. But Lisa, I've not really had a chance to get to know as much, so this is great to see some of her answers. So definitely go and check it out. It's on the Valheim _ official account. That's what it should be. If you didn't know, Lisa actually made the Draco, which is an amazing boat. It's one of the first boats she got to make, and always going to represent someone that likes a bit of tea. There's lots of cool stuff here. One actually picture I really liked was this. It's a actual plaque that they have at Skovda, the town where Irongate are situated, and they actually presented them with this for all the success that Irongate have had with Valheim. Skovda's actually a pretty big hub for certain games. I'm pretty sure Satisfactory have their studios there, as well as a few others. Maybe it's Deep Rock Galactic, one of them. Lisa also does quite a bit of the work in terms of the build pieces and the models and stuff. And that brings us on to our first talking point. Lisa designed a lot of the new pieces that are coming as Deep North, so absolutely confirmed that these are all going to be brand new pieces. Except the roof pieces. They do look like they are ones that we currently still have. Lisa says Deep North's her favourite biome to spend time in and work on, but these build pieces were among the first things she made for Deep North. All are new except for some roof pieces. The hall was built by fantastic QA manager Sarah. So the question is, I was assuming this was a procedurally generated structure that we might find in Deep North. And a lot of you guys in the comments were pointing out that I was just talking about maybe there's some Vikings here, that clearly with the big doorway, perhaps there's Jotun. Basically giant, massive humanoids. But this kind of throws that in doubt. If this is actually just a set that's been made, does that mean we're gonna have any kind of large creature at all?
It would seem I'm not the first person to set foot here after all. I wonder if anybody is still here.
So these little cinematics do make it feel like there's definitely some creatures that have left that there rather than maybe something else. But that could just be purely for the cinematics of this little series to highlight the build pieces. So have I and others got it wrong that these might actually procedurally generated, or they may be places that we can find in the Deep North? Or did Lisa just actually mean that these were originally constructed by their Q&A manager and then they've been added to the game as something that will spawn? It's a pretty interesting question, I think. The other tease that does still point to Jotun, and again this is down to you guys commenting and telling me so. Unusually we're using the Jotun axe here to go ahead and chop some of the trees. Jotun, sorry I say it wrong all the time, are absolutely in the game in some way, shape or form, even if it's only one weapon. But it did seem like a very deliberate choice. Now I'm watching it back and realising a bit more. Of course, in Viking mythology, Jotun are pretty much giant creatures. Maybe not always strictly actually humans in a way, like just giant humans. Sometimes depicted as maybe more fawn-like creatures, or with horns at least. And of course Valheim interprets a lot of their own takes on the Norse mythology. That's obviously part of their home in Sweden. with influences like modern stuff as well, especially to do like the magic tables and stuff. So it's not always going to be maybe one for one, although they do obviously pay a lot of attention to the lore and the mythos of their own culture. It could be argued we've already got the Jotun, who were, I was assuming, some of the creatures that presided obviously in the Mistlands, and that's where we see their bones. So, something to discuss. Is there going to be Jotun in the game? Are these actual build pieces part of structures that we'll be having access to by looks of things at least? But are they also going to be something we can just find as empty settlements or maybe inhabited by certain creatures? One more hint and clue that we get is apparently there is some sort of creepy, maybe not so cute creature, not traditionally at least, but kind of creepy cute. That's coming in the deep north alongside the seals. Someone did ask whether or not bears might actually arrive, and they were a bit coy on it, just saying, bears. But it has got my mind racing. What is kind of creepy but cute that could be fitting in a big snow sort of biome? I always just think of furry things in the cold, so they don't really point to me to being maybe creepy, usually actually the opposite, cuddly and cozy. If you go way back over some of the AMAs they had on Reddit and other points, bears have been some of the most requested creatures to add to Valheim. How cool would it be if there was a polar bear that we'd be able to fight and take on in the deep north? But yeah, that's not a creepy creature, unless they've really made it some sort of mutated version. And then there's this picture, which is definitely blurry looking at it from a second screen. So bear with me on this one, but it does look like it's maybe slightly new armor set or some sort of new clothing at the very least on the left hand side. And I first thought this was maybe Hugin or Munin, but what if it's actually another type of friendly quest giving NPC? Am I tripping here that it seems to have two sort of big antennas or something on top of its head? Obviously with the yellow asterisks. I'm reaching here, but yeah. And at first I thought this was maybe actually just the root armor, but it definitely looks a bit odd and weird. Like just the whole shape, if that's like a cape at the back of it. What's the whole shoulder thing about? Again, I could be absolutely just talking nonsense and this is something that's already in the game. But I think the devs have probably done this maybe a little bit on purpose. So yeah, take that all with a pinch of salt. It's just something to talk about while we're waiting desperately for any new news. Like I said, I think we will obviously get some updates between now and the 1.0. And I'm really wrong. I'm hoping I'm wrong that maybe 1.0 is going to arrive sooner. But all my info is based on their previous time spans, how long it's taken to do their major updates like Mistlands and Ashlands. It's been at least a year for both of them pretty much, maybe a little bit longer. We've got Deep North, we've got all the improvements they've said in the past with talks with me and others about adding more stuff to early game as well a little bit. So that is definitely going to be something that takes a bit longer too. They have done a ton of improvements with optimization, adding all sorts of new stuff and little things that we had most recently, like the Bog Witch update and stuff. So I'm expecting still maybe a few things like that, but yeah, expecting a lot more to really be there for the 1.0 launch. Go and check it out on Instagram, like I said, let me know your thoughts and opinions. I recently completed Valheim with my rat bags as far as we could go right now by taking on all the bosses in literally 2 weeks. Go and check out some of them live streams as it was a bunch of fun and I finally got to beat Fader for the first time. And I'm sure I'll see you guys for the regular blog, which will probably be next week, with another video clip potentially of Her the Bloodtooth and some more Deep North stuff. Until next time, rat bags, laters.